Good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners meeting. It is Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. It is 2:03 p.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. I am Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. Also in the boardroom, we have County Manager Ramiro Chavez, as well as the clerk of the board, Jamie Caldwell. We'll start this meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Menser.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, Vice Chair Menser, would you like to do a land acknowledgement, sir?
Thank you. We would also like to start today's meeting with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial and who still inhabit the area today, specifically the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the Tuesday, February 28th, 2023 agenda.
I move to approve the proposed agenda for Tuesday, February 28th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. The agenda is approved. We have a presentation today, and it's Women's History Month proclamation. And I'll pass it to the clerk of the board.
So we've got we've got representatives from both the Junior League of Olympia and the Women's Club of Olympia here to accept the proclamation. I do believe that the Women's Club of Olympia is also reaching a mile marker for the foundation of their organization. So if anybody's available, you're more than welcome to come on up to the podium and provide some background information about your organizations. Right there.
The Women's Club of Olympia is approaching its 140th anniversary as a club for women in the Olympia, Thurston County area, and we are very appreciative of participating in this ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jamie Van. I'm the president of Junior League of Olympia, and we are a all-women's leadership development organization, and we are very appreciative of being involved as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, commissioners, anything you'd like to add before we read the proclamation?
Well, I'd just like to say that none of us would be here if it wasn't for the ladies of the world. So thank you very much. And by the way, my mom thought I was perfect, but I'm sure she was mistaken on some conditions. But thank you all for coming today, and very well deserved. That's about all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Menser?
Okay, yes, I appreciate everybody being here and giving us a chance to honor this History Month, as well as the recognition of the Women's Club. Place very dear to my heart since I kicked off my 2018 campaign for commissioner there. And it was, so it's always going to loom large as a special place in my heart. Junior League is interesting because there was a Junior League where I grew up in Southern California, and we had a huge fair, Fair Enough Alpha Festival, and the Junior League always had a pepper belly booth, which if you don't know what that is, it's chili on top of Fritos with, they call them something else up here in the Northwest. We call them pepper bellies, and it was my favorite place, and my mom's very close friend was an activist in that league, and so she let me work there. So I basically got into the fair. Our fair was 2 weeks long, And I got in every day and worked at the Junior League Pepper Belly booth. And then I got to spend, once my shift was over, I just got to go see the animals and the entertainment. And it was just awesome memories from my childhood. So anyway, just a personal anecdote. Appreciate the work all of your groups do. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would just like to thank both these wonderful groups who do so much to educate our community and really provide that leadership for women all across the county. So I know both of you are very active and volunteering, and it's just, as a woman leader myself, it's always great to see, these organizations provide such mentorship across the county. With that, sir, I am ready for a proclamation.
Could I interrupt you, Madam Chair, for just a moment? I would like to say that you make the world a better place, and Commissioner Mejia makes this board a more functional board. And she mediates a few things here, maybe us with differing opinions, how, like a couple brothers might, it could be, I think this, no, I think that. Anyway, she brings that type of civility to our board too, so I want to thank her.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, very good. So Thurston County Proclamation, Women's History Month, celebrating women who tell our stories. Whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made and continue to make historic contributions to the growth and strength of Thurston County. And whereas these contributions are critical to the growth and development of our economy, our cultural and artistic achievements, our social advancement, and in all areas of accomplishment. And whereas American women are particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, educational, and cultural institutions in our nation. And whereas American women served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement, including the right to vote, improved employment rights, the civil rights movement, and the peace movement, which creates a more just society for all. Whereas the League of Women Voters was formed in 1920 to promote a larger role for women in public affairs after winning the right to vote. And whereas American women are increasingly represented as public officials in all levels of government and serve our country courageously in the military. And whereas Women's History Month, derived from International Women's Day, commemorating working women in the early 20th century, has been designated in our nation and each year since 1987. Now therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaim March 2023 as Women's History Month in Thurston County and encourage all residents to honor women for their countless contributions to our community and nation, and to learn more about the significant role of women in the creation of our history. Adopted this 28th day of February 2023 by the Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you. And I would like to do a recognition for the Women's Club of Olympia. The Women's Club of Olympia was formed in 1883 to enhance the lives of women, provide them a place in society to express themselves, and provide continuing education for its members, and continues to be a fixture within the city of Olympia, Thurston County, Washington. The Women's Club of Olympia has dedicated itself and its mission to enhance others through volunteerism and community service, and utilizes its resources to assist, aid, and support other nonprofit organizations and identify needs within the local community and strive to meet those needs. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners celebrates March 10th, 2023, the 140th anniversary of the Women's Club of Olympia, and urges all residents to join us in this special observance. Thank you.
Some proclamations
So
to
we can-
hand out,
yes.
and maybe we can get a photo with our guests.
Please come to the front, right here.
This one's the
Facing that way.
Women's Club. Yeah, and then we can just spread these through.
friends. They can tell y'all ready. Yeah, and then you can come in together. Turn to your side. Everybody
Leans
turn
to the
your
side.
Come on in. I wonder if we could maybe even do two. Oh. There we go. All right. 1, 2, 3, smile. Nice. Thank you, everybody. Oh, wait, go quick, yeah. And then I think would we also like to do a group with just the junior league and then just the women's club as well? Okay.
And also the Thurston County Democratic Women.
I'm sorry, I don't know where your camera went. Okay. Can I email you the photos? That'd be great. Perfect. Let's do that. All right, so who should we go first? You want the junior league to go first? I'll step out. That's easiest. Oh, well, there you go. So we've got women's club here. All right. Let's see, scooch on over there at the very end. Thank you very much. All right, 140 years, nothing to scoff at. Thank you, everybody. All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
Thanks, Katrina. Very good.
All right, 1, 2, 3, smile. Thank you, June.
Oh, one more.
I'm sorry.
Democratic women.
Lots of strong, smart ladies here. All right. 1, 2, 3. Fabulous.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for coming. All right.
Oh, yeah, it is new. Middle letter.
Okay, next is that will conclude our presentations for today. Thank you for everyone who joined us for the presentation. Next is the opportunity for the public to address the board. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. Let me drink some water here before I. The general speaking guidelines are as follows. Please introduce yourself, including the address you reside in the county. Please address the board, not the audience or staff. Please silence your cell phones for those members in the boardroom. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate their speaking time to another person. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outburst of any kind. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business. All materials provided to the county may be considered public records subject to public release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 of the RCW. No remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board on appeal. Thank you so much for your cooperation. With that, I will go through the sign-up sheet first, and I'll see if any other member would like to provide public testimony, and then we will move on to those joining us via Zoom. The first person on the list is John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit. I live in East Olympia, future District Number 5 of the 5 District Commissioners area. Today, I happen to have a personal honor that one of my favorite people happens to be along with me right now, of which she's one of my clients, and she's a significant taxpayer here in Thurston County, because I'm sure none of you pay over $200,000 a year in property tax. Taxes matter. How they're spent matters. And while she has this long list, my basic issue I'm going to talk to you about has something else, but just an example is one of the parcels of property that she's had an increase in tax. went up, increased by $24,000 on just one parcel of her property, increased.
2 million.
Well, the valuation went up, yes. So she likes to have me around to help be able to help communicate for her. So I'm gonna, she has a full list, believe me, she keeps her records well of every year and everything she pays taxes on. So she may choose to talk to you a little bit more after I'm all done, okay? But now I only have less than 3 minutes. My primary purpose here today was, in talking to you, had to do with this building and the expenditure of over $10 million of taxpayer money going into it. $10 million that did not have appropriations for that amount. I've sent you a number of forms that show you, for instance, one you should have received yesterday, and it says right on the top, budgets, they lapse at the end of the fiscal year. You don't go adding them into the next year, they're gone. That's why you have to have new budgets every year. You don't make a budget that goes forever. Now, part of this whole problem that I have right now is when you spend $10 million without any appropriation, the law is very clear. The parties who make expenditures, which primarily directed by your county managers, they're responsible for all excess expenditures above detailed budget amendments. They need to be held accountable. So I'm just going to start with some questions why. I have a limited time. Why, with this particular building, did we spend $10 million without proper appropriations? Why did we want to spend $10 million for this particular tenant improvements when the contractor that did the work put in a permit for only $2.25 million? We pay more than what we pay, basically 4 times the amount. But then that brings another question, why? Why, under state law and county code, which requires a competitive bidding process, why wasn't competitive bidding done? It certainly requires it according to your code, and state law says the people that choose not to follow the code have to be personally responsible. Why did the county never even issue a waiver of the requirement of having a competitive bidding? You see, all these questions why are important, and if you're going to protect this taxpayer, and that's what you're supposed to be doing, you need to be able to address it quickly. The quick addressing that I would like to see you do, get a hold of the state auditor, get a hold of the Attorney General's office, prosecute them, make them responsible for the full $10 million, and have them placed in jail for providing you with lies, which is a violation of state law to lie to a public official. Thank you.
Can I talk to them?
Well, she'll call you back up here in a moment or two.
Okay,
Okay?
I'll go by.
Okay,
You come sit back down.
next is Pamela Loving.
What is, I don't get.
Okay,
I'll let you know when she calls you. I'll walk up in.
maybe she was here for the presentation. Next is Brian Murhead.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Muirhead. I live at 6527 Alternate Lane in Olympia. My wife and I, Nancy, moved to Thurston County in 2020. We bought 2 parcels of land on Pattison Lake. I attended the Shoreline Management Program meeting, working meeting last week. It was clear to me that in that process, you're interested in the fair and just treatment of affected citizens of Thurston County while maintaining quality of our shoreline environment for future generations. I also appreciate how complex the SMP process is, and that I need to bring our specific issue to your attention through the public meeting process. When I became aware of the SMP process, I noticed a significant issue with one of our parcels in terms of the proposed shoreline environmental designation. I realized that the current designation, which is split as partial rural and partial conservancy, would be changed to 100% natural. I filed the appropriate paperwork where I showed why a natural designation was not appropriate for the entire parcel and that the split designation was still appropriate. Much of our backyard is along the lake, which was developed years ago to provide access to the lake, including our dock. I was told by staff that avoiding subparcel reach boundaries was desired and that there was no risk to our existing conditions. I responded that we wanted to work this issue legally. I attended the Planning Commission meeting of April 20th, 2022, at which the parcel issue was presented, and using an assessment based on very limited aerial images, the staff recommended that the natural designation for the entire parcel be maintained. Without hearing any of our specific concerns, the Planning Commission accepted the staff recommendation. We understand our next step would be to bring our issue to the Board of County Commissioners. We retained a certified wetland and soil scientist and a land use and environmental law attorney to evaluate the situation and prepare a formal report, position report, for presentation to you. We completed the position paper and filed it on November 28th, 2022. The key finding was that the designation of natural for our parcel is neither appropriate or warranted under the Shoreline Management Act or Department of Ecology's SMP guidelines. We're coming to the Board of County Commissioners with a request that the existing split designation for reach LPA 7 and LPA 8 on our property, as detailed in the file paperwork, be maintained with the revised designations of shoreline, residential, and urban conservancy. You'll each be receiving an email of our position paper, and I plan to present it again to you at the public hearing, the SMP public hearing when it's scheduled, and if there's any subsequent ecology public hearings. My wife and I appreciate that the county commissioners have many important issues related to the SMP, but this issue is very important to us and our family, and we request that you give our position paper appropriate attention by your staff and incorporate our inputs into the proposed SMP SED map. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Chris Lester.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Chris Lester. I live at 4134 107th Avenue. I am the Government Affairs Director for Thurston County Realtors Association, and I am bringing today to share the Realtors 2023 legislative priorities. I'm just going to read the name of each one of them. I won't go into detail, but improve consumer protections in real estate agency law, allow middle housing in cities, increasing the supply and affordability of condominiums, transit-oriented development, exempting residential sale and leasebacks from Landlord-Tenant Act, and ADUs, dwelling units in rural areas, and streamline regulations that increase housing costs and litigations. So I brought copies for each one of you and just to share our housing priorities with you all. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I have Terry Ballard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Terry Ballard. I am a 35-year veteran, retired in 2012, was born in Washington State, and spent 35 years in the military. And I'm welcomed by some real challenges that I have for veterans. I've been seeking the Veterans Fund be corrected to become effective, become more effective for the benefit of veterans and taxpayers who pay taxes provided to the Veterans Relief. Thurston County has continued to fail in properly running the program. I gave the BoCC a great example of Kitsap County, and that's all they did was sneer at it. Okay, Social Service Department, I won't name his name, he just stared at it, and they're doing a hell of a good job. I wish you would mirror Kitsap County, but you failed to do that. Payment for a county building on the health department, fund is not beneficial for needy individual veterans. Payment for the Veterans Hub is not beneficial for the needy veterans. In excess, you pay $30,000 a year for the Veterans Hub. You pay another $25,000 for rent of the building over there over there in the health department. You pay an additional $72K in salary, and you pay $26K in benefits. So you pay $153,000 a year in excess to run the Veterans Fund. Really? $160,000 went out to veterans. I got the amounts here. Isn't that kind of against the Veteran Fund? And now you have an overage of $1,127,000. Wow. That keeps on building into the next year, building into the next year. What are you going to use that for? Help out veterans? I don't think so. Okay? And we have another challenge. Thurston County homeless has a 5-year plan. How are we doing on a 5-year plan? How many homeless have we taken off the streets in our districts? Should I say none? They pay $1,700 a month, more than $1,700 a month, to house a person in a box down in Olympia tiny home camp. Really? I'm really interested in where coming up with that number. Okay. Also, Mr. Mark Moffett had a pilot program to take a homeless veteran off the street. Well, that program already exists. Why don't we take homeless off the street? Why do we keep on supplementing the Veterans Fund for homeless? Okay. How many people are we going to keep on giving these homeless a hand out or a hand up? Okay. His program had a rent of 4.5K, had electricity at 500, had a case management of 1.5K, and had a total job development for 4.5. Why aren't we using that for homeless? I want the homeless off the street. Didn't we just tax people for a sales tax? Okay. In addition, and then now we're giving Olympia their own homeless fund. What's this homeless fund being used for? Is used to keep them homeless or to get them off the street into in the worthy society, to make a dent in the society. They've hampered our society. Okay. The homeless fund, the veteran fund, okay, this fund was supposed to decrease veteran homeless, was supposed to decrease veteran fund, was supposed to be financially self-reliant. Well, it didn't do anything of that, and now we have more homeless on our street every single day. Thank you.
I don't have anyone else on my list. Would anyone else like to provide public testimony?
My name is Kyung Yoon. I have hearing problems. I don't hear too good, so he helped me. And I've been living here, Olympia, 58 years. And over the year, I've been paid, day one, I've been paid the tax. Since the latest one, I built them at Bay 210 Madrona Beach, and they put into tax $3,500,000 or $4 million. The last year earlier, they put into over $10 million for property tax. That is a 70% went up to the 1 year inflation. So I'm complaining to city county, they put into twice the money, so $6,600,000 for tax pay money. That is come up to about over $75,000 for paid tax for a year. So you see how much they increase it, and they charge tax heavy duty. That place income not even reaching up for $3 million, the $300,000 a year. I paid over $70,000, expense all that. I might not have even make it $70,000 for the year. Now, that's a no interest account. But what is going on in the inflation? $2,500,000 for one property as of now. They even have to complain. What can we survive for hardworking people? That is never see that when you inflation county or city or even for president to spend money, but don't know how put into conserving money for next generation. I'm afraid so. That kind of case, my experience, even I was born Korean, I see the inflation so bad, the government make it change money. Also, is the 101 depression. What they mean, $100 worth $1. That's what's gonna hit inflation, county, city, everything's inflation. I'm afraid that, then they make it limited. Some citizen, hardworking people disappoint many newspaper suicide. That's what the abusing for hardworking people could not tolerate the higher up government worker and try to get the money every direction. That is the corruption of country. Even county or president, I seen it all is a problem. My country had the 1962 had a corruption like that, and I seen all. America now to step in and invasion China, and the here hardworking people abusing by county or state or federal. What can little people survive? Are working many years, are still working hard, but it doesn't go in. I mean, the over 80 years old, and I keep my property, pay the tax. I've been slave to tax for a long year. What is the higher up people know how to spend money, big money, but they're not considering the next generation. I'm afraid of my next generation is gonna be corruption, and I maybe sooner. What can the higher people and just they worry about their pocket money paid off? That's why we got so many homeless people. Homeless people raping off, breaking fences. Always I have overnight is a see too many. So please do something and conserving the taxpayer money. They're making me sick. So
Is there anyone else in the boardroom?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Gregory Moe. I live out near Lure Beach in Thurston, northeast Thurston County. Thought I'd give you a little minute of real estate update. There are currently, first of all, Thurston County is suffering from a dearth of available homes for sale. And those that are for sale are expensive. So affordable housing is a big issue. Currently in Thurston County, there are 284 single-family residences on the market. That's as of about 1:30 this afternoon. 19 condominiums. One of the tenets that Chris Lester provided for Washington Realtors is to increase the amount of affordable or available condominiums through product liability mitigation. And manufactured homes, either in a park or on their own land, 25. That's a total of about 300 and some teen homes for sale in Thurston County. I remember the days when we averaged about 1,600 homes for sale in Thurston County. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the boardroom? Okay, with that, we will move on to Zoom.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I will be calling the citizens who would like to provide testimony this afternoon on the order of my Zoom screen. First, I have Mr. Tom Carroll. Tom, would like to provide testimony this afternoon.
No, I just wanted to watch proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Josefina Megana. Josefina, would like to provide testimony.
No testimony. Thank you. Thank you all for your work.
Thank you. And that will conclude public testimony, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude our public testimony for today. Next, we'll move on to county manager's update. And just to let the public know, we do have two public hearings scheduled at 3:30. At that time, we will be pausing our regular agenda if we're not through it yet and moving on to those two public hearings. So, County Manager?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to follow up on the public testimony you received on February 14th. It was related from a couple of individuals related to climate mitigation, the climate action plan, and what the county has done or we're planning to do related to address the climate matters that we face here and locally, the state, and perhaps the world. So before me starting getting into the details, I would like to introduce Rebecca Harvey. She is a climate mitigation senior program manager. And this is just one example as to what Thurston County is serious about this matter by hiring this great talent. Rebecca?
Thank you, County Manager. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Rebecca Harvey. I'm Climate Mitigation Senior Program Manager. I'm here today to thank the Thurston Youth Climate Coalition for speaking up at the February 14th meeting and urging the county to do its part to address the climate crisis. Thurston County is lucky to have these activists working hard to preserve a livable future for all of us. As a parent myself, I relate strongly to this call to action from their generation. When I applied for and gratefully accepted this position last October, I did so in part because I was impressed with the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan, which is not only a great framework for action, but is made stronger by the interlocal collaboration with the 3 largest cities, as well as by a strong base of public support and engagement. However, the youth are correct to remind us that our first greenhouse gas reduction target is only 7 years away in 2030. There is a lot of work to do, and we need to accelerate implementation of the Thurston Climate Mitigation Plan. I do want to be clear, though, that implementation is happening as climate mitigation strategies and actions are integrated into departmental work plans across the county government. For example, the Central Services Department is taking steps to electrify the county's vehicle fleet and upgrade facilities to energy-efficient LED lighting and HVAC systems. The Public Works Department is enhancing bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, working to reduce food waste, and improving the efficiency of water and wastewater treatment systems. And CPED, Community Planning and Economic Development, is involved in many areas of the plan, updating land use policies, administering the Habitat Conservation Program, and streamlining processes to promote solar energy adoption. More complete list of annual actions can be found in the Thurston Climate Mitigation Progress Report for 2022. I have copies on the back here, and members of the public can find this, as well as an interactive dashboard on, to track progress toward meeting our climate goals. That is on TRPC's website at trpc.org, and very soon will also be on the county's new website with a climate change specific webpage. Moving forward, now we are working to develop and make public a 2-year work program for Thurston County's implementation of the Climate Mitigation Plan. Some of the actions will be specific to the county, and some will be regionally coordinated with the cities. And just a few of the top-level goals for this coming work plan will be first, planning a solar energy project on county property, approving the first projects under the county's new CPACER program, or Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy and Resiliency Financing, seeking board direction for deployment of electric vehicle charging infrastructure, updating the Forest Conversion Ordinance and rural tree protection standards, and integrating climate mitigation strategies into the county's comprehensive plan update. So please stay tuned as we develop this 2-year work program. And once again, I thank the Thurston Youth Climate Coalition for their advocacy and invite residents to contact me with any questions or concerns related to climate mitigation. Thanks.
Thank you.
My email address is Rebecca, rebecca.harvey, Harvey, at co.thurston.wa.us.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions, any comments?
I'll just make a comment. I missed the presentation by the students in person, but I got the chance to see it. I serve as the county's representative on the Climate Action Steering Committee. Yesterday's meeting, we had a presentation about carbon sequestration, which is a chunk of how we're trying to meet our target for the dates. What was very interesting to hear is that out of the tree and forest-related carbon sequestration in Thurston County, 93% of that happens in the rural county, not in the cities. So it's going to be very important to look at our tree conversion ordinance and try to make sure we have a good vision for how we can, mitigate, promote development, growth, but yet not backslide on tree cover, canopy, because we have a gap to fill, and that gap's just going to widen if we convert existing forest cover. So that's going to be quite a challenge, I think, for the board. And I wasn't all that happy to hear how heavily that burden rests on us as county officials versus the cities, where really, the majority of carbon sequestration is occurring in this county. So we'll have our work cut out for us in the next couple of years.
Thank you. And thank you for that update, sir.
Yep. I'll provide some more detail on Thursday's Commissioner check-in.
Okay, with that, anything else, County Manager?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
Next is consent agenda. There's items A through G. And is there an item that commissioners would like to remove from the consent agenda?
No, I think we've covered all that this morning. Thank you.
And then we did we add any? No, it's next week's agenda. Okay. So with that, is there a motion for the consent items?
Move to approve consent items 3A through 3G.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. This is a non-debatable motion. With that, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Moving on to department items. First items from the auditor's office. 4A is the approval of the voucher list.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will cover that item. For your consideration is to approve the voucher list for the week of February 6, 2023 for a combined amount of $1,561,361.18. The reason as to why this particular item is not in your consent agenda is because there's some items remaining on expenditures related to the tenant improvements of this building.
Thank you. Any questions?
No questions at this time. They've been answered earlier. Thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Mensah? Okay. Hearing no questions, I'm ready for a motion, sir.
I move to approve the voucher list for the week of February 6, 2023 for a combined amount of $1,561,361.18.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Nay.
Commissioner Mensah? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Next item from Emergency Services, item 5A, is Federal Fiscal Year 2022 Emergency Management Performance Grant Funding Agreement. And Kurt Harding, our Emergency Services Director, will present this matter.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Kurt Hardin, Director of Emergency Services. I'm here requesting the Board of County Commissioners approve the Federal Fiscal Year 2022 Emergency Management Grant Performance, also known as EMPG, Agreement Number E23-192 for the period of June 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023 for a total amount of $176,697, and also authorize the Director of Emergency Services to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%. The Federal Emergency Management Performance Grant provides annual funding to support local emergency management programs and capabilities throughout the state. The funding is primarily used to support Thurston County's emergency preparedness, public education programs, resource management, and logistics planning and preparedness. Also, the mitigation plan and planning. It also includes funding for salaries of 4 emergency management staff positions. There is a 50% match for this grant, and this revenue and grant match were anticipated and included in the 2022 and 2023 emergency management budgets. We're asking that the Board of County Commissioners approve the federal fiscal year 2022 emergency performance grant, and subject to your questions, I request that you approve that.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menzer? I don't have any questions as well. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the federal fiscal year 2022 Emergency Management Performance Grant, FY22 EMPG, grant agreement number E23-192 for the period of June 1st, 2022 through September 30, 2023, for a total of $176,697, and authorize the Director of Emergency Services to sign the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Public Health and Social Services, item 6A, amendment to extend the contract with Thurston County Chamber Foundation for Thurston Thrives, backbone support for 1 year, 2023. Chris Hawkins, Program Manager, will report on this item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Chris Hawkins, Program Manager on Education and Prevention with Thurston County Public Health and Social Services in the Community Wellness Division. Here to ask for your consideration of approving the 1 year 2023 contract amendment for continued Thurston Thrives backbone support. This is with the Thurston County Chamber Foundation. The county has been, since 2019, funding this at $40,000 per year. That brings the total consideration of this contract value to $200,000 over that period of time since 2019. And as you know, Thurston Thrives has been working hard to work on community health improvement with a number of partner organizations that come together in action teams across a range of the social determinants of health. This aligns with the county's initiatives in its strategic plan that started back in 2018-2019 timeframe, and aligns very well with that initiative 1, improving health outcomes for all, and particularly addressing the social determinants of health that disproportionately affect people of color and works towards eliminating health disparities. So that's a current focus of Thurston Thrives that aligns well with the county's emphasis and our department's emphasis on health equity. And it also addresses Initiative 2 with the actions of various action teams to improve community health, wellness, and safety. Both of those initiatives in the county strategic plan refer to Thurston Thrives directly. And so this contract is a way of continuing that investment and forward progress on a wide range of community health improvement factors. And I'm here to answer any questions that you have about this particular action, recommended action, as is, well, Josefina has dropped off, but she was here earlier. Josefina being the new director of Thurston Thrives at the Thurston County Chamber Foundation. Any questions for me?
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No, it's quite a complicated topic, and we've had a lot of discussion over this issue over the past years. So if anybody's interested, they could refer to some of our other meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Menzer?
I'll just make a comment that although we've funded Thurston Thrives at this same level in the past, and we're going to continue to do that, we've been able to shift the funding source from one of our more flexible sources to more restricted public health foundational funding, which I think the board unanimously believes is we're more comfortable with the connection of that funding stream to this source rather than the general fund, which has, so many competing, so many competing interests. So, so it looks exactly the same, but there's a little bit of a shift underneath the surface that I think makes the board feel a lot more comfortable with moving forward with this item based on the discussion we had.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no further questions, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve waiver of competitive solicitation under Section A9 of Policy 0201 and Amendment Number 4 to the Thurston County Chamber Foundation contract for Thurston Thrives coordination / backbone support to extend the contract duration through December 31st, 2023, and add $40,000 of funding for this additional year of services for a revised total maximum contract amount of $200,000. And authorize the Public Health and Social Services Department Director to sign the amendment, as well as any future amendments that do not change the dollar amount or duration of the contract by more than 10%.
Second?
So moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, moving on to item 6B, Emergency Solutions Grant COVID Contract Amendment with Department of Commerce, and Keely Marino, our Homeless and Affordable Housing Coordinator, will present this matter.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Keely Marino with Public Health and Social Services, here to ask that you approve an amendment for Emergency Solutions Grant COVID funds through the Department of Commerce for homeless response. So taking us back in late March of 2020, the Department of Commerce created the Emergency Housing Grant and immediately awarded communities throughout the state to address the needs of houseless citizens at the very beginning of the pandemic. Thurston County was awarded nearly $1 million, and from that we made swift plans and worked with the City of Olympia and other providers to ensure that outreach and safe sheltering and 24/7 sheltering and hygiene services were in place as fast as we could to keep our houseless residents of Thurston County safe. In July of 2020, Department of Commerce alerted all communities across the state that federal funds through the Emergency Solutions Grant, CV or COVID, would be available and awarded to the communities that were operating on an emergency basis to address the needs of houseless people during the COVID pandemic. In 2020 July, the Department of Commerce awarded our county $627,292 in those funds. In November of 2020, they released even more funds, and we received a further allocation of $3,255,300 to that contract for those services. And it was followed again in January of 2022 to assist in mitigating the camp sweep along Deschutes Parkway to the tune of $285,000. Recently, in the last month, Department of Commerce has let the Thurston County know that there are more emergency solution grant funds. They have alerted us that we could utilize $851,440 to continue those services with a total contract award through Thurston County of $4,955,585 for these activities. These funds must be expended by September 30th of 2023. And I'm happy to take any questions from you.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
I would like to comment that this is, again, another complicated activity that we take on. And Keely, thank you very much for putting that together so everybody could get a basic understanding of it. And we've had a lot of discussion on this, so no questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Questions, Commissioner Mensah?
No questions.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve a contract amendment with the Washington State Department of Commerce for an additional $851,440 under the Emergency Solutions Grant COVID for a total contract value of $4,955,585, and to authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the amendment and any future amendments that do not change the contract value by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, our next item, item 6C, is ESG-CV, Contracts for Homeless Services, and I'll pass it back to Keely.
Thank you. Commissioners, today we're hoping that you will approve amending contracts with 5 agencies that were they've received Emergency Solutions Grant COVID in the past, as was mentioned in my previous presentation. So we have $831,440 to be awarded to agencies providing specific services related to COVID relief to people experiencing homelessness in our community. The 5 agencies and activities that would be funded would be for community youth services, emergency shelter at the Rosie's Place shelter services for $76,201.46, to the City of Olympia to continue providing hygiene services to encampments in Thurston County for $46,893.21. To Olympia Mutual Aid Partners to continue their outreach efforts in the encampments throughout Thurston County for $365,438.76. To Interfaith Works for their continued sheltering at their emergency shelter at Unity Commons, not First Christian, that was an error. And that is for $293,000. I can do this, $293,082.54. And lastly, for Partners of Prevention Education to continue providing outreach as well for $49,824.03 to totaling $831,440. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Again, no questions. Just thank you, Keely, for stumbling a little bit, that it makes me feel better. Thank you for the good job.
Questions, Commissioner Metzer?
No questions on that one.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
Move to approve 5 Emergency Solutions Grant COVID contracts for a total amount of $831,440 to agencies that are supporting vulnerable populations in response to COVID-19, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contracts and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Moving now to our next item, item 6D, which is the appointment of board members for the Regional Housing Council's Affordable Housing Advisory Board. Keely.
I'm back. I've also will invite Tom Webster, our program manager for the Office of Housing and Homeless Prevention, to join me for the affordable housing. So the Regional Housing Council had approved a governance structure that would include meaningful participation from the homeless crisis response system and affordable housing subject matter experts, and including people with lived experience of homelessness at a policy and funding recommendation level. This governance structure established in Amendment 2 of the Regional Housing Council Interlocal Agreement that was approved by the Board of County Commissioners on February 14th of 2023 created 2 advisory boards to support the Regional Housing Council: the Affordable Housing Advisory Board, as well as the Homeless Services Advisory Board. The primary purpose of the Affordable Housing Board is to make funding recommendations on RHC priorities, funding, and policies related to the expenditures of the combined County and Olympia Home Fund, Federal Home Investment Partnership, House Bill 1406 and House Bill 2060 and any other existing or future fund sources controlled by the RHC and which the RHC may deem appropriate. Tom, would you like to describe the membership for the Affordable Housing Advisory Board?
Sure. So this is the Affordable Housing Board was also called for in the interlocal agreement between the City of Olympia and Thurston County, combining the home funds. So that interlocal agreement requires that at least 1/3 of the members of the Affordable Housing Board come from the City of Olympia. So we have 13 members. These were interviewed by Commissioner Mejia and Councilmember Cox, who's the chair of the Regional Housing Council, as well as applications were reviewed by staff recommendations were forwarded to the Regional Housing Council, and the Regional Housing Council is forwarding these recommendations to the board. So appointments include Deb Larson, Dave Puseswich, who goes by David P, he says, Meg Martin, Talana Reed, Charlia Messenger, Carly Colgan, Grace Lee, Kendra Landis, Trudy Sukup, Trish Gregory, Craig Chance, Jesse Simmons, and Donna Federer. So we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions.
Questions, Commissioner Menser?
No questions. Mr. Simmons is here. I recognize a lot of heavyweight names on that committee, so that will be an excellent resource for the community.
Thank you. And we had a lot of great applicants apply to this. Very thankful to everyone who applied. It was a lot of tough choices, so yeah, it's great to have tough choices whenever there's a great pool of applicants. And Commissioner Menser, I'm ready for a motion, sir.
Okay.
If there's no further questions.
I move to appoint recommended nominees as board members to the Regional Housing Council's Affordable Housing Advisory Board.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes. Next is item E, which is the other side of this, which is the appointment of board members for the Regional Housing Council's Homeless Service Advisory Board. And Keely, you're it.
Yes. Thank you. So likewise, the same preamble for this advisory board as determined by, and approved by the Regional Housing Council to be developed. This particular advisory board, I think, came out of a retreat that occurred in May of 2022 between the Regional Housing Council members and members of the local housing action team, which is a part of Thurston Thrives, which was mentioned earlier. The housing action team has membership with people who are actively working or are subject matter experts in the field of homeless response in particular and affordable housing. So from that retreat, it was determined that when considering the governance structure of the Regional Housing Council, that we would find a way to have meaningful participation from those who are subject matter experts on the issue and those who have people with lived experience of homelessness as well, as per best practice as well. So same process, we released our applications on January 23rd. We had a number of just wonderful applicants that applied, over 21 people, or 21 people precisely, and we chose these 12. Same process, the applications were reviewed initially by staff, and then those nominees were then interviewed with the chair and vice chair of the Regional Housing Council, and these 12 people were decided to be nominees and were approved by the Regional Housing Council prior to this. And those names of those individuals are Thierry Lino, Stephanie Reinauer, Kaven Hill, Joshua Cheney, John Brown, Candace Garman, Anthony Ducote, Anna Schlecht, Tammy Smith, Leslie Van Lischet, and Nova Payton. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menser? And no questions for me. I am ready for a motion.
Move to appoint recommended nominees as board members to the Regional Housing Council's Homeless Services Advisory Board.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Next item is item F, approve contract amendment with Washington State Department of Commerce for the Rights of Way Initiative. Tom Webster, our Senior Program Manager, will present this item. Tom?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you, Chair. Tom Webster with Public Health and Social Services. So we're here to ask your approval to amend the contract with the Washington State Department of Commerce. Last summer, under the Governor's Right of Way Initiative, we received funding from the Department of Commerce to continue to operate shelter beds, 24 continuous shelter beds, provide for hotel stays for individuals fleeing domestic violence, and to increase and targeted outreach to state right-of-way camps. With the recent purchase of a hotel in Lacey by the Low Income Housing Institute, the Department of Commerce is providing the county with funds to support the operations of that. So this amendment or this request here is to amend the contract with the Department of Commerce to add $6,100,000 of funding to that contract for a total value of $10,720,800. And this money will run through June of 2025. And the next item we'll talk about how those funds will be distributed, but this is to accept and amend the contract with Commerce to receive these funds. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Questions? Commissioner Menzer?
No.
Okay, with that, I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve an amendment to the interagency agreement with the Washington State Department of Commerce for the Rights of Way Initiative to add $6,100,000 in funding to bring the total contract value to $10,720,800, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the amendment and any future amendments that do not change the amount by more than 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Moving on to item G, approve contract with Low Income Housing Institute to operate enhanced shelter. And passing it back to you, Tom.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. So following up on the previous item, this is to a recommendation or a request to sign a contract with the Low Income Housing Institute to operate the previous hotel that was recently acquired as enhanced shelter for those coming from under the Governor's Right-of-Way Initiative. So folks coming under this initiative there are some folks who are currently residents of the hotel who will remain in the hotel, but the primary purpose is to relocate individuals living on the state's right-of-way to this property to be used as an enhanced shelter. For the long term, eventually this will be converted to permanent support housing, but in the meantime, it will be operated as a shelter. These funds will run through June 30th of 2025. So the $6 million in funding is covering about 2.5 years of operations. I also do want to point out, I see unfortunately an error in the motion. I'd ask you to correct this is signing a contract, and the last statement is not an amendment. So this is a new contract we're asking for authority to execute.
Got it.
But with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
No questions, thank you.
No questions? Questions, Commissioner Menzer?
No questions. We had good discussion this morning regarding some of the details and future strategies for, hopefully this will be a major step toward creating that, this plus home fund plus some new funding stream provided by the state will be a major step toward this county being able to better manage, we'd like to eliminate homelessness, but on the way to getting there, we need better tools to manage and more local control over locations and parameters. And I see this as a major step forward, getting us to that intermediate place where we have that local control. So hopefully this is a good step for the community.
Thank you. I'm ready for a motion.
I move to approve a contract with Low Income Housing Institute to operate an enhanced shelter under the Governor's Rights of Way Initiative for up to $6 million through June 30th, 2025, and authorize the Director of Public Health and Social Services to sign the contract and any future amendments that do not change the amount by more than 10%.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No discussion, thank you.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
That we finished. So going to our standing items, commissioners will report on board work sessions and assigned committee meetings, providing updates on actions taken as well as upcoming issues. Commissioner Edwards, sir, we'll start with you.
The only meeting that I had on my agenda of substance, I think, was the Thurston County Fire Commissioners. And the ongoing issue of ability to adequately respond to the citizens through our EMS system is probably the biggest topic of discussion, and more to come on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Menzer?
Okay, so we didn't have a meeting last week, and then I missed a meeting where, so it's been 3 weeks since I've made this report. I've had a lot of opportunity to do a whole range of things. The reason I wasn't at the February 14th meeting is I was representing LOT, Clean Water Alliance, at the National Association of Clean Water Agencies Conference. Learned a ton of stuff there, and that was 4 days, February 13th through 17th. Attended the Fire Commissioner meeting that Commissioner Edwards mentioned. I was giving a presentation on Board of Health related issues in my role as the Chair of the Board of Health. Attended the South Thurston Economic Development Initiative monthly meeting. Attended another Sentencing Guideline Commission meeting in my role there representing WASAC, the Association of Counties. The Jail Resources Team meeting. A wonderful event for Black History Month at the New Life Baptist Church, where they basically created a Black History Museum inside their church and then opened it up to the public. And it was well attended and very well done, and I was very thankful. My daughter and I had a very excellent afternoon at that event. Attended the Three Cities meeting on behalf of Commissioner Mejia, where the main topic there was the Thurston county media contracts and how we're going to approach those, in coordination with the other cities. Also had a chance to attend an event for the Thurston County Volunteer Legal Services Appreciation for Volunteers and an open house of some new space. It's right next to the Family Support Center, where they have new rooms and for meeting with clients and expanding their services. So always looking for lawyers to step up and volunteer their time at the legal services offices. You've got better space and more resources to support your work. And that was great. Judge Lenise was there from Superior Court.
I used to be my judge, so.
That was good to see.
Okay, for me, yesterday I attended the Community Outdoor Athletic Facilities Advisory Committee meeting. And this is one of those committees that I got appointed by the Washington State Association of Counties. And the goal is to have this grant out for recreational facilities in this summer, basically, is when this grant is supposed to be out, with no match funding for those applying, which I think is great. We discussed on several key issues, including the availability of recreational facilities in places, right? And then as well as those underserved, and the funding availability for some counties to be able to fund these projects, not just counties, but cities and nonprofits as well, as they can all apply for this pool of funding, which is $45 million. And one of the key discussions was also, is there a possibility, because there is so much money available in that pot, and this is an area I think where everyone wants to be able to facilitate this, is can that money be leveraged to acquire additional funding for these kind of projects, because they're very expensive. So very excited for this grant to come out and see what kind of projects go out in our community. And I'm hoping Thurston County will be one of those who applies for one of these grants, because I think it definitely adds value. It's only a one-time funding, but I just think it's just such a great opportunity. I did coffee with the commissioner yesterday morning, and I'm not sure when it's going to air, but it was in regards to Child Abuse Prevention Month, which is in April. But we did, I had as guest Christy Peters, and so she gave her point of view from the prosecutor's office. I had Gretchen Thaler from our maternal nursing, and I had Dr. Gilbert from Providence, and she provided a lot of good insight, and I thought it was a really well-rounded conversation on where we're at currently, what our numbers were due to the pandemic, where we're currently at, and what we can do in the future. So I know that will be coming out soon. I was very, it's such a heavy topic, but I think the information needs to get out to the community. I also did a Pack Mountain retreat. We went to Union, Washington, and it was great to have both the consortium and the board members in a group and kind of talk on where we're going to be headed. They had North Point come in, which is a consultant firm, and kind of take down everyone's thoughts. We had a lot of group discussions, and then they're going to come back with a plan for us on where we're going to be headed, especially with a new executive director. So it's kind of exciting to just hear some of the thoughts and prospects of Pack Mountain. And I also attended a Boston Harbor Association meeting. I got invited to speak at it, and I brought along Scott Lindblom, our county engineer, as well as Craig. And Craig, is it Sissom?
Oh,
Sisson?
Yes.
Real-
Sorry, yes, sorry, Craig. And they had questions about a new program that Public Works is developing in regards to, public lands that we own and turning that into surplus. And so they gave a really good presentation on that, and that's going to be coming in front of the board in the future. But I was very surprised the fact that they knew about this program, and I was like, we haven't even heard about it. But I learned some of that, and I know that will be coming up to the board in the future, and I can report kind of more on that as we move forward. But they were very happy to hear that we had started our funding for parks acquisition, for park maintenance. They were all very excited to hear that, because for the Boston Harbor area, Burfoot Park is definitely something that they really value. And that's all I have to report on. So item B, the county manager will review the Board of County Commissioners' schedule for the week of February 28th, 2023.
Excuse me, thank you, Madam Chair. Starting this afternoon here in 10 minutes or thereabouts, at 3:30, you have two public hearings. One is related to the precinct boundary changes and also the county commissioner's legal descriptions changes. Following by the public hearing on the development code docket, item 818, which is related to the agricultural activities and critical areas. Tomorrow, Wednesday, March 1st, you have a briefing 9 in the morning related to the Thurston County's Comprehensive Plan Periodic Update, also we call as the Thurston 2045 Vision. At 11 in the morning, you have a briefing from the Office of Public Defense that will give you a perspective of the state of their department. In the afternoon, at 2 in the afternoon, Wednesday, March 1st, you have a meeting with the Thurston County Superintendents. Finally, we have the chance to coordinate those meetings once again. And this will be an opportunity to have an open conversation with the superintendents here in Thurston County. Thursday, March 2nd, at 10 in the morning, you have your regular commissioners check-in. At 10, it will be posting the agenda 24 hours in advance. At 3 in the afternoon, you have an executive session. We'll be reviewing the county manager's annual evaluation. And at 5:30 in the afternoon, Thursday, March 2nd, you have been invited to participate in a retirement celebration for Captain Gordon Phillips from the Sheriff's Office, and that will be located on the river's edge at 4611 Tumwater Valley Golf Course in Tumwater. Friday, March 3rd, you have been invited to attend the Kurt Harding retirement celebration at 2 in the afternoon, and that is going to be located at the Thurston County Emergency Management Building at 9512 Tilly Road Southwest, Olympia, Washington. On Saturday, March 4th, 4 in the afternoon, you have been invited to participate on the South Thurston Firefighters Association Craft Feed in Action, and that will be located at the South Thurston Fire and EMS at EMS at 187 Hodgin Street South in Tenino. Moving on to next week, Monday, March 6th, you have standing meetings at noon, the Kiwanis Club meeting, as well as the Washington State Association of Counties meeting. And also in the afternoon, you have been invited to participate on the briefing, on the Zoom meeting related to the House Washington. Then on Tuesday, March 7th, you will convene in this room at 9 in the morning on your regular agenda setting, following to the 2 o'clock afternoon of your regular Board of County Commissioners meeting. And that's all I have for you.
Thank you. Any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. With that, it is 3:24 PM. Commissioners get a 6-minute break before our public hearings. We are adjourned.